Hello there. It's Eldor, or the Masterversal-Toyhunter here. Yes, I was standing at the great eye of the universe, and I thought, why not make my own custom figure, for better or worse? Come with me, and let's see what things we can make with our creativity. Ooh, well, don't just stand there. Come on down. And so, with our tools and materials gathered, what figure shall we make with a little magic? Let's see. A bit of this. A bit of that.
Look out, man.
And maybe some kick. Oh dear. And I think some of this will do the trick. Yes, sir. So, no matter if it's night or day, come rain or shine. I think it's a good day for some custom figure time. Indeed. And so, how are we all doing there? It's Eldor here, on the Masterversal-Toyhunter, and welcome to our next episode of Custom Figure Time, where I'll be soon documenting how I go about my custom action figures. But I thought also do a spin-off series from the live there, doing a show showcasing and interviewing various other creative ladies and gentlemen in the community there. And so today we have a special guest. I believe you'll know him as my buddy or your buddy. Yes, it's my buddy's Customs there.
Hey, Elder.
Good evening.
How are you?
Oh, yes, I'm rather good there. I see you've been busy creating of late. Lots of
Yes, I have.
pieces and figures. So you've got quite a show lined up, as indeed you have quite a display lined up there for us to look at. So there we have it. Oh, he's getting his fang all ready to do a bit of
I
work on
decided
there,
I'm going to work on him a little bit tonight. And I got a few other figures, do a little touch up and add a little bit of color and showcase off some of my other figures that I've done.
Yes, looking rather splendid there indeed. And so, how about we go to the chat there and see who's all piling in. So, first in we have a Wookiee Sasquatch there, and he's done a bit of a shout out for me in his Super 7 Eldor figure there. Oh yeah, jolly good there. And next we have Radical Toys, and obviously he and Toy Mama or Christina got something on this, so they'll catch on the replay there. So there's Adam and Radical Toys and Christina or Toy Mama there. She's got herself a new YouTube name now, I see. Jolly good. And who else have we got in here? Yes, we have figuratively speaking. He's just got off his live, and they're showing off a few figures. And yes, a good evening there, sir. Good to see you in. And yes, another busy person there, Cobweb Collector. He's off to the ball game there. And yes, so he's saying hello there, and yes, greeting between him and Cobweb, and yes, here we have a Thanos copter flying in there. Good evening there, sir. Good to see you in. All right, let's get on to it then. All right, there. Where on the distant planet Earth are you from, Bud, sir?
I am from a small town in Wisconsin, just south of Canada.
Oh, yes, that sounds like a cozy little place there.
It's fairly quiet, which I definitely like.
Do you get the odd visits from the wildlife there, the bears and the deer?
No, actually.
Oh,
They don't really wander into town much.
oh, oh, I see. Yes, I caught a video of a bear trying to climb into a pig pen there. And the pigs weren't going to have it. He was out in there in the flash, faster than he attempted to climb in, you might say. And yes, oh, we got a Duchess of Darkness popped in there. Good evening,
Hello,
Mallory.
Duchess.
Good to see you again there. And so, much to do around there where you live, sir.
No, our town is roughly around 2,000 people,
Oh,
and we have like two bars. I think a wing place that's on the little strip mall, a post office, a school, and that's about it. Besides local, like
oh. Quite a crowd there by the
workplace.
sound of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
All right. So, when you were growing up, what interests did you have there, or what toys were your favorites?
Probably. Well, of course, Masters of the Universe, but I also
Indeed.
had a giant love for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Oh, of course, yes.
and they would often cross over a lot. There'd be lots of turtle adventures in the Eternia.
Yes,
Then I
I see
suppose,
they're contemplating on doing a bit of what do you call it, a crisscross there between
yeah,
Ninja Turtles and the old Masters of the Universe.
hopefully they're better than what the pictures were leaked.
Oh, yes, we had a bit of a look at those. Bit of a tough pill to
Yeah,
swallow, but you're still in the works. Hopefully, something
there's
will
two
turn
of them
out to
that
look
looked
good.
okay.
Mm.
Man at Arms looked okay, and Leo looked good if you took off some of that bright blue armor.
And indeed, you're also quite an artist there. Were those one of your interests when you were younger, a wee lad? Did you draw
Yes,
quite a bit and make things?
I've been really drawing since I was like 2 or 3.
Oh, he had a head start above the rest
Yeah,
there.
when I was 3, and one of my mom's favorite stories to tell is I drew a flip book. So it's like a
Oh,
book
yes.
that every page the kind of looks like the picture's moving. I
So you,
did
you, you animate
yeah,
the series of pictures there. Yeah, yeah.
I did the '89 Batman film where Bruce Wayne opens up the vault and the bat suit is like sitting there.
Oh, yes, and he puts
So
it
I
all
did the
on.
vault door and it was slowly opening up, and each frame you could slowly see the bat suit more and more.
Oh,
And I was doing
oh,
that
quite
by the age
advanced
of
stuff.
3.
Yes, sir. I don't think I found out about all that type of stuff till, I don't know, maybe about a 10 or so of the old flip book technique there. Oh,
I think one of my
yes, sir.
first flip books actually was this little flip book from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze. And it was the scene where they're at that, it's the beginning of the film, and they're fighting those thieves. And Mikey,
Oh,
who
yeah.
gets pushed over the top of that counter, pops up with those
The old sausages there.
sausages. Yeah. So when he's doing the chucking, that was the flip book.
Yes, it was a sizzling moment indeed.
Yeah.
I like when he uses his little finger there, and he's got the nunchaku spinning about when he's
Yes.
doing the old chuck off with that other ninja fellow there. They're trying to outclass each other's moves, and he's just sort of working there, just standing there with the.
I love that the accessory pack actually came with a hand that had the spinning chuck.
Yes, oh, I see they've just started releasing the vintage movie figures there from the old Playmates
Oh,
line they did them last. So I see they're
yeah. I
coming
think
out with all that now.
I think I definitely had all of the movie figures.
Yes, we've got quite a few newer characters introduced in the movie. I think is it
Hmm.
Tokan, Raza, or how you say it there.
Yep.
I believe they also appeared in some of the comics around that time. And we had the old Super Shredder. Ooh.
Yes.
And so, did you have quite a collection there growing up of all the Ninja Turtles and Masters of the Universe? And did any of that survive to this day?
Sadly, no. None of them survived. With my Masters of the Universe figures, as most kids, when your parents think you're at a certain age, they decide that you have grown out of certain toys.
Yes, you
And
finally
all of
things are
my,
disappearing on you.
yep, one day just they were gone, and I was told that they were given away to a local um, child care service.
Oh, I suppose you had a good run of those toys. But
So I'm
it
guessing
is
within a
it
week,
is a
all
hard
those toys
thing
were
to
smashed.
it is a hard thing to accept all those toys that gave you a lot of joy, and that as a child, and
Yeah,
then you don't fully at that age you wouldn't really understand the gravity of things of kids that are less fortunate than maybe you are.
but
So
on the
it's
upside,
good
I did
that
have
you
so
get
many
to have
other
enjoyed them.
toys. On the
Oh
upside, I
yes,
did have so many other toys that I didn't really notice that much until like later years. So I was like, whatever happened to all
that's
those
how the parents get you
wonderful
there.
toys? Because I think by that time,
Because you take photos of everything and document had a record of
right?
what you got there, and you know what's up.
I think by that time I was starting to get into the Kenner Batman figures. I had
Oh
so
yes.
many of those, all the
Did you
crazy
start with the
different
superpowers
variants.
at all? Or?
I started with the not the superpowers, but the kind of
Uh-huh.
'89 movie figures that came on that
Oh,
gold
sweet.
card back.
The old Batmobile had a bit of a sunroof there, I believe.
Yeah, and it made that wonderful sound that I'm sure my parents loved.
I believe it had a bit of a boot though, so you could put his batarang or tuck his suit in there if you had to take it off or
Yeah.
what have you. Or pack the old picnic basket there. And so we got the military rolling in there. Welcome in there, Sergeant Salter, my good sir. It's good to see you in there. And he's greeting myself and you there. Yes, good having you in there, Zazel, sir. All right now. Where was I? Oh, Batman there. So
Yes.
you didn't start off with the superpowers, but did you eventually move on
No.
to those? You never got them.
Um, I never got any of the old superpowers.
All right,
It
I
was
see that you
straight
have
into
now, though.
the like Kenner ones with Batman. They came with like every single accessory you could ever think of.
Well, then they also came out with the animated Batman series figures.
I
You
did
you
have
were
a
quite into those.
few of those. It was really hot when the Batman re Returns film came out. Like
Oh, all right, yeah.
I definitely had the pair. There was like a 2 pack of like a penguins, and they had like rocket packs. Definitely had that.
He had a whole collection of umbrella weapons, didn't he?
Yeah. So I
Yes,
definitely recall
a
having
different
those.
surprise for every occasion, you might say.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about some of the toys I remember having, and I don't know if you got into the Star Wars much or anything like that, or the
Oh
Transformers.
yes. Star Wars I got into when the special editions came out.
Oh yes, we tried when he decided to change everything up there with all the
Yes.
new technology coming about. I know they finally got an idea for what Jabba the Hutt was going to look like, so they threw him back in, and he was a normal human looking person at first, but then they changed him into a big slug there and had old Han Solo uh, a treadle over his tail there.
Yeah.
I believe he's changed it up a few more times since then. And so
Then
I suppose you had all the rebels there and the Empire, and I don't know. Did you have any of the vehicles there, like the X-wings or the Millennium Falcon?
I had the X-wing for sure, and
Yes.
then I had the um, Scout Trooper and Speeder Bike.
Oh yes, the speeder
There
bike.
was like a button in the back where you could make it like
Yes, and it all exploded there on
explode. Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Never had a Millennium Falcon. Always kind of wanted it. I had a friend who had it.
I
So
suppose
whenever he would come over, I'd be like, "Bring it over."
a lot of toys were quite pricey then, especially most of the big vehicles
Yeah,
there. They had the rebel transport, bit of a lunchbox you could open up and put your figures in, bit of a carry case, I guess.
I know one I
You also
always
had the,
wanted
also had
was
the Tie Fighter there, and you had the Tie Fighter wings pop out the sides.
Boba Fett ship.
Oh yes, the older slave one there, but we can't say that one
Yeah, back
anymore.
when it was
No sea
called that.
spray,
Yeah.
no fire spray rather. Yeah. Yes, it sounds like you had a good number of years enjoy with the toys there, and indeed you've been started collecting. There, I was going down your Instagram earlier, noticed you was getting to the old Gundams there, the big fighting
Yes.
robots. Do you
Gundams I
still
got
work on
into.
those there?
I haven't bought one in a long time, but I kind of got into those like 2017, 2016 maybe.
Yes,
And I
I
got
see.
worked on those up until the pandemic started. Then they were really hard to find because
Oh
obviously,
God, everybody was
shipping.
buying them up there.
Yeah. So I kind of decided to take a
Oh
break,
yes,
and
the old shipping took a bit of a bit of a tumble there during the lockdowns.
then I
But
saw Origins came out, and it was all
oh yes,
over. And I just
yes,
put my
I see. I see in some of your works there you using the epoxy sculpt on a few of the Gundam models you'd been working on there.
yes.
Yes, those look rather good indeed. And but well, yes. So toys aside, did you carry on your drawing through school and art classes
Um,
there?
a little bit. Yeah, I took art in high school. I took a class afterwards, so kind of like a mail-in class. Um, and over the past couple years, I've kind of on and off been drawing.
Did you
Um,
did you try any of the big paintings there, or was it just limited to sketches and drawings?
Mostly sketches and drawings. Like if I ever did anything large scale, it was usually for school.
Oh yes, some school exhibition maybe or something.
Yeah, there was a local, well, not local, but like regional art show, and one of my pieces was going to go go to it, which I was like, that's exciting. But the teacher
Yes.
decided to give me an F, a failing grade on on the drawing because I did not use his exact teaching method to complete
Oh
it.
right.
And I told him, I was like, well, if you're going to give me a failing grade, I'm not going to let you put it in the show. And he's like, well, I'm going to put it in anyhow. So I might have pulled a Ocean's 11
Oh, I see.
and went and got my
They
work.
brought in the cavalry there.
Yep. I think I still
Oh,
have it somewhere. It was a charcoal self portrait.
oh yeah.
And the reason I had to adapt the art style was that summer before I had broken my arm, and it was the arm that I draw with. So I had a full arm cast, and I had to learn to draw with my uh, other hand. So I had
Oh
to
yes, yes.
change the way I drew, so I couldn't
You had
fully
to relearn there
adapt.
all over again, in a
Yeah,
manner of speaking.
yeah. And I recalled I drew the face, It was because it was a charcoal negative drawing. So he took this black and white photo of us, and we had to draw, and we had to draw it to negative. So any place where there was white, that's where we shaded black. But we took charcoal and we put black charcoal over the entire painting. And you know those pliable erasers, those like putty erasers? We had to use that to shade with. So we would blot out.
Also, remove areas to have lighter areas in your art and so forth.
So that was our quote unquote pencil. And I drew the face and it looked perfect. It looked like me in every single way. And he came by and he's like, well, that looks good, but here's how I would do it. And he went up, took a piece of charcoal and rubbed over the entire face and then drew it himself. And I'm going to tell you, it did not look like me at all. And I told him, he's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to look like you. And I'm like, it's a self-portrait. Yes, it does. So I definitely failed that project.
It's always a tough one to swallow there when someone comes.
Yeah, he used to be a college. He used to be a college art professor, but then he had to teach high school, middle school, and kids. Because my town, again, kind of small, so we had all grades in one giant building. So he covered every grade.
When I took my art classes there, usually we were given artists to choose from, and we had to try and attempt to portray their style of art there. So we had a lot of that to do, and one fellow I took on, he used to draw landscape art pieces, but then he would write the name of the place sort of on the hill horizon line there. So there was stuff like that, and there was a fellow that would paint objects coming at you like a star field there. And so I decided to do like lots of different forms of cups there, and glass cups, and all sorts. And then entered the school certificate. So we made a big portfolio up of all the art pieces we had done during the year. Did you do anything like that, sir?
Yeah, there was we had like a bowl of fruit. There was like a vase with like sunflowers in it. That kind of general setup. And then it was centered in the middle of the room, and then we all just sat around it and kind of drew it. If that's kind of what you're referring to there.
Did you put together an art folio for a show? Like over here we'd have these giant bits of cardboard up, and we'd plaster black paper all over them, then attach our artworks, and there would usually be about four panes of cardboard you could have folded up and then unfolded out, and you usually had it displayed on a table there.
Every we kind of had something a little different. Like every kind of quarter of the year, we would hang up all of our artwork in the school halls, and that was kind of like. I mean, I guess in the classroom you had these rows of like little shelves, and we had a folder with all of our work in it. So I guess that was kind of the art portfolio. I would know that because I snuck in the room and took it.
In the meantime, over here we're getting high off all the adhesive glue. We had to paint all over the cardboard strips to lay down the black backing paper, and then once again to stick all our art pieces on.
So basically, you guys did like a giant collage.
Yes, it was like a pamphlet almost.
Okay.
It out, and it was usually we used the black duct tape there to join the pieces together, and also make trimmings around the edges to make it all look nice and fancy. And so that was a bit of
believe it or not, I failed art class.
Yes, a lot of these art teachers, they have great expectations there, and they usually they don't think about seeing where you're at and
Yeah.
the art that you're creating for yourself. But I suppose in a way they have to make us at least study previous artists there and try to attempt what they were trying to create in their art.
We
We
never
left
really did an art study. It was more of just like every 2 weeks there was a new thing he wanted us to like work on.
And so let's get into the chat there once again. We got Mr. Hooty Dean. Good evening there, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
And we got Alberto Morales. Good evening there, sir. Good to have you in. And he's greeting figuratively speaking. And yes, so speaking of art, we have one of your sketches ready to show there. So
okay.
Let's bring that in there. Now, who's
Yes.
this fellow?
So that is the Lich King from the Warcraft series.
All right, yes. And what medium did you draw this fellow in there?
So yeah, I did it I just had like a pen, and I wanted to do kind of like a crosshatch shading. And in the Warcraft game, there was a program where you could pull up all of the like character models, and he was one that was in one of the games. And I pulled it up and I kind of turned the character a little bit, and I just kind of kept it there and I drew him. And one of the things people always tell me when they see it, they're like, "Why is his sword so short?" I'm like, "It's forced perspective. I mean, he's holding it pointing more towards you, so it wouldn't appear as long as it should be." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yes, we got taught all about that too, with vanishing points and horizon lines and what have you. Oh, yes, he looks jolly good there indeed. So I understand you can rotate the characters around there to see all the different details. And
it's more just to check out the like 3D models, but I used it for portrait study.
Oh, yes, you captured a good
and I really got in there. Yeah, the shading on the scales on the arm looks really good.
Yes. And you used shading there to show the form of the skull on his belt there.
I actually, so I pre-drew the outline of the figure in pencil, but that skull face on the belt, I didn't draw any of that. I just went at it with a pen and eventually formed it.
Well, you captured exactly how things are in the 3D world there. You don't see lines around.
Nope.
It's mostly light that gives you the shading and form there that we see and process. So yes, you captured that remarkably well there.
I basically did it in like layers. Start with the like lightest layer and then start to crosshatch each darker layer, and then eventually it takes form.
But indeed, you can do the outline there to get yourself situated, and then you've got your rubbers there. You can get rid of those guidelines, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yes, you're looking really good there.
Thank you.
And I see you've got a number of other impressive
yeah, red. There. So that
red
green.
Ranger.
So that one I actually got to meet Jason David Frank, and I gave him that photo. And so I was standing in line for a good like hour and a half, and when I finally met him, like before you meet him, his like handler shows you photos or inspects anything they want that you want signed. And
he had all hold on with him, did he?
Yeah, and one of the photos, like some of them were obviously kind of pricey, and I was like, well, I did these drawings, and I have one I want to give him, but could I possibly have him sign one? And she was like, yeah, go ahead. So when I got to him, met him, shook his hand, and kind of gave him a little story of course, how I was little, that show was like everything to me. And then I was like, so I brought you some artwork that I did. He's like, oh, okay, cool. And he was literally like the nicest guy ever. And first picture I pulled out was this one here. And I showed it to him, and he's
Lone
like,
Ranger.
"Oh my gosh, I thought that was a photo." And I was
I
like,
did too.
"Okay, cool." And he's like, "Wow, that's really cool." And I was like, "So I don't really I couldn't buy any of these photos, but I was wondering if you could sign this." And
Oh,
he's like,
yes.
"Yeah, sure." And there
Yes,
was
they
two,
usually charge you. They have a charge there, maybe
yeah,
$25 a piece, and you get
and the
those
photos
signed.
were anywhere from like I think they were like 30 to $60.
Oh, yes.
And I only came with like limited funds, and I was still wanting to walk around the showroom, and I was trying to find certain pieces I wanted to buy, but I definitely had to meet Jason there. So
Yes,
I,
and of course, sadly, we lost him. I think it was
yeah,
last year there. But
yeah,
indeed,
that was tough.
he sounded like he was a good fellow there,
He
and mentored a
truly
lot of
loved his
people.
fans. He wasn't one of those people
Yes,
that like only did the shows
Nostradamus
for like
Toys, I
money.
believe. Nostradamus Toys, Oz there. I believe he had some correspondence with him early on in his life there, and so
That's awesome.
he impacted Oz also. But yes, it looks like he was a good force out there in the community. But
Yes,
uh, yes, indeed,
he,
we do struggle with things in our life, and not
yeah,
everybody understands that side of things. And yes, but I hope indeed he's resting in peace. And
yes.
indeed, if anybody here feels like things are getting on top of them, and I know it's hard at the best of
Reach out to
times
anyone.
to reach out to anyone. Yes, yes.
Yes. May he forever rest.
Even that's hard to do too, because you often fear what
Yeah.
people are going to think, and a lot of people can judge you and so forth.
And especially if you're a male and it's kind of that stereotype that men aren't supposed to show their feelings.
Yes, you're expected to be like a bit of a Viking there,
Yeah.
not show the tears and and so forth. But it's not true, really. We have
No.
feelings just like everybody there, and
But
battle sometimes the same emotions and struggles.
you know, but yeah, that
So
red
what's he got in his hands there, sir? The special
hmm?
weapon he had.
Oh, his dragon dagger,
Ah, Dragon
which
Dagger. Yes.
I loved. That I wanted one as a kid. I could never find it, but I did have a Saba, which was the white ranger tiger sword.
I see. So does this one have any special properties there? He's holding a bit like a
Yes.
flute, I think.
Yep. So that yeah, the dagger was a flute, and just like in the show, the toy, you could press the buttons and it would play the special tune he would play on the flute to summon his mighty dragon sword.
Oh, a bit of a beastie caller there. Oh, I
Yes,
see.
kind of like how people will use flutes to summon snakes from like a basket, except this summoned a mechanical Godzilla from the ocean.
So I see, as I mentioned earlier, about how in real life we don't see lines around things. And I like how you've drawn this out, where you can not really make out any lines. So
Yeah.
you've gone with using light to encompass his form there, and a bit of shading off to the side there. I see a lot of people do that too to show a bit of
So
that.
that was actually the first time I had got Prismacolor colored pencils, and that was
All right.
the first drawing that I did with them.
So there's like a color shifting, like your paints there.
No, these are kind of specialty colored pencils. I
Okay.
believe they're oil based. They're
Oh,
more premium, so they're pricey, but it was a pack. It was a giant tin, like metal tin. And I believe it was like 120 pencils, and it was marked down to half price. It was only like 30 $35, I think.
you caught a sale there by the sounds of it.
Or wait, no, 50, because the original price was almost 100,
Oh
and I think I
yes.
got it must have been like 40, 45. But I saw that deal and I was like, ooh, I gotta get them. And I still have them. They're
Mr.
sitting over there.
Houdini. Mr. Houdini's wondering what's happening with Fangol there.
Oh, I am adding some extra paint to him. When he originally, I don't know if was the figure originally in Classics or was it only a custom figure?
It arrived in Classics. It was a character designed by Axel Jimenez, I believe.
So on my screen, you can't see it here. I have a picture pulled up of the actual Classics figure. I'm just adding the paint. I'm adding the paint in where it's not applied on this standard figure.
Around the raised accents there and so forth.
Yeah.
The neck and armholes.
You can see I added a gold ring around the foot here. I'm going to do that on this leg. Yeah.
And what paint are you using there, sir?
So that's
nice sheen of gold indeed.
My antique gold from Folk Art. It's a really nice paint.
Gold is a hard one to get.
Yeah.
Unless you use like something like gold leaf or something.
Yeah, like some of the paints for like gold, it's just the paint base and they add glitter to it. So when you paint, you actually have to do multiple layers, where this actually has a gold base color, like a pigment, and then it has the gold kind of glitter in it.
I notice some fellows use these silver or gold pens too.
Yes, I have a chrome pen.
There's a custom faker duplicate there, and I didn't quite get that a nice sheen, a metallic look on mine. Mine's more like a dirty silver, blunted silver color. More, I'll have to look into getting one of those pens. But indeed, the pen he used, the silver pen he used on his custom figure looked really nice indeed.
Yeah, I actually have Battle Cat sitting in the box, that the last one I bought when they were on sale, that I need to do duplicate. I want to sculpt some mechanical parts on them.
Yes, of course I did that with mine there, but I applied a masking tape over one side of his head, and then I drew the design out of how I wanted the robot exposed side to look, and I used that to I sculpted over with the epoxy putty. But of course, I kept the masking tape. I took the masking tape off and I flattened that out onto a flat surface there, and just covered over with a clear packing tape, so it separated the paper, the masking tape rather, a template from the putty itself. And then I worked the putty into all the different working within the lines, you might say. And then using a bit of water and a scalpel blade or a box cutter, I just had to carefully sort of scrape underneath it to remove it from the sellotape there. And yes, I laid that over top of the head just to set there, to also shape the putty. And of course that soon hardened up, and I was able to place that inside the hole I had removed from that side of the Battle Cat's head there. Oh, so it's quite a lot of work there, and I see you've got some other custom works. I know you work on a few cardboard diorama pieces, but before we go, we've got a question from Mr. Hootydine there. And, are you going to seal the paint? He's asking.
Yes, I will be sealing the paint with some Mod Podge.
What's the Mod Podge like? I understand some sealers can dull your, especially your silvers and gold there.
So this is a paintable sealer. Comes in a bottle similar to this, and I would just paint over the figure like I'm doing like a final coat, and then once it dries, it creates like a seal.
So it's a nice tough coating when it's all set there.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow, that snake armor is sick, Mr. Hootydine says. He approves.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that is probably one of my favorite custom painted figures that I've done.
You made him pop there quite a bit, I see.
Yeah, I took some my own creative uh, in influence on it, especially with that shield. Because
Let's
even
see.
the 2000X version of the figure didn't have that much paint on the shield.
All right, so here we have a nice array of custom works by looks of it, and why don't we kick off here with your transforming Prince Adam there into He-Man.
Yes, I love that figure. I really like how he turned out.
So you're using a special kind of paint there. I understand.
Yes, it's a color shifting paint. So it's one color, and then when it hits the light, it'll shift between like 2 or 3 different shades.
I noticed you did some variations in color blocking too, like around some of the ebb details.
Yeah, so I was thinking of how I wanted to do it, and I didn't want to like swirl the paint in with my blue that I was doing, and I didn't want to paint in swirls, so I decided to highlight the muscle
Mhm.
structure, kind of like how you would draw muscles on a picture. I did it with
Yes,
paint.
yeah, like a cell shading there,
Yeah,
like you sometimes see in cartoon-like drawings.
yeah. So I did that with some pinks and yellows and greens on top of my metallic icy blue that I used for the skin.
I see you did
Kind
a
of give
similar
it
thing with
that
your
Sailor
merchandise.
Moon. Yep, that is also fully painted in uh, color shift paint.
So I'm guessing that was all the parts you had disassembled
Yep,
prior.
correct.
And I suppose you sealed all that paint
Oh yes,
work up
that
your
is
Mod
fully
Podge.
Mod Podge. Yep.
And here we had that dragon snake armor rather skeletal
Yep.
one. So what changes did you make to this figure there, sir?
Okay, so most of it's in the shield. I believe the original picture, only the spikes, the silver spikes on the side were painted. The metal kind of square buckles on it on the front of the shield were painted, and the skull was painted, and that was it. And I really wanted to give it more of that green that I used on the eyes on the shield.
Oh,
So I
that's
decided to
really well done
paint.
there.
Yeah, I painted that uh, green there, and then I painted a little copper on those top 2 spikes,
Oh yes.
and then so I definitely wanted. I had this orange color shift, and I painted the entire armor, but then I decided to highlight it by using copper paint around
Which
the
really
border
brings the
edge.
figure out there.
Yes, and I really wanted the bone teeth to be bone colored and not
All
orange.
right.
And then I lightly dry brushed over the sculpted features on the belt to kind of make those
Yes.
pop. I don't know if there's a better picture to showcase that.
Well, they turned out rather good there indeed, sir. And I see here's a photo of some of your diorama work there. And indeed,
Yes.
you got your computer or TV console also displayed in the background there on your line.
Yep. And then just the pillars were paper towel rolls, and I
Yes.
constructed a kind of open face box, flipped it around, added a layer or 2 layers of cardboard on top, then cut out a circle for the paper towel roll to kind of plug into.
Yes, the old rolls are quite useful in many ways. You can
Yes.
unravel them and make thinner tubes and winding tubes and what have you. And what else have we? What work did you do on Snake Armor He-Man there, sir?
So Snake Armor He-Man came with the least amount of paint on any figure that I've seen.
All right.
I think they really only had 3 colors to choose from. And sadly, the silver was not a color. That was just molded in. So it was, four colors. Yeah, you can see there. That's how it came.
So and then the old before there.
Yep. I definitely wanted, or I pulled up a classics figure, and then I pulled up a picture of the armor from the show. And I used both of those to paint it. And actually on the final version of that, I don't know if I have a picture of it or not, but I noticed in the show he had some kind of green cloth tied to his bare arm, just above that cuff wrist. So I had some green cloth and I cut a little strip and I wrapped it around his hand and then tied it off.
No, I think you did rather good there. I know in the old corporate world of the old toy smiths, all this extra paint is money, as they say. so
there's actually
come in there.
There's actually 2 different silvers used. So there's the base silver. Then I had a steel color that I used on the breastplate, and then on the strap that goes around his chest there that leads up to his pauldron, and the pauldron itself, I used a gunmetal paint. So you get 3 different layers of color there. And I tried my best.
We have Attorney and Lips there. Good evening, sir.
Hey there.
And you have a new subscriber there, by the looks of it.
Oh, thank you. I tried to color match as best as I could for that green on the belt, but I couldn't quite get it, so I just painted. I made a color as close as I could that I was painting on the boots, and I just painted over the tassels so that it all matched.
No, you really made it come alive there, sir. Much, much better than the figure itself.
But the final one, if you want to switch to my camera here.
All right, just a moment.
So there's that cloth. And this you only really see in the show. And then, of course, I got my...
a bit of soft goods there in the ramen toy.
Yeah.
It's got
the ramen toy head there. But yeah.
And I see you've got the computer console in the background there that we talked about earlier. So it looks like you can slide some different graphics into the
Yeah, so I left the top open so I can slide in little pictures. So I want to print off different things and place them there. Or if I get stickers from someone, I can slide it over my logo.
And one question I forgot to ask you, sir, when you were young, what did you think you would be when you were growing up there? Was it going to be anything to do with art, or?
Oh, it was probably going to be art.
Like a movie work or something, or props?
I was sick a lot when I was younger, so I never really thought too much of. Sadly, some doctors had some choice words in front of me that kind of stuck with me. So
they're not always known for their nurturing bedside manner.
No. I was told I would not make it past 20.
Indeed.
Because of certain medical conditions. Yeah. So, fool on them. I'm 37. But, yeah.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. that kind of stunted a lot of like caring about grades in school because I was like, what's the point, if
Yes, I
this
suppose
fate was
when you have
eventually
all
going to
that on
hit?
your shoulders, you don't always
Yeah,
think about what the future's going to hold there.
exactly. And then kind of every year after that, I'm like, is this it? Is this it? And then eventually never was. So
Oh,
don't
well,
mean
I
to bring down
suppose
the room,
you
but
oh no, it's good to know indeed, sir.
yeah,
And through the struggles there, you indeed kept up with your art and drawing, and
yes.
making all
I think
the
that's the one
Gundam
thing that
models there.
persisted the most.
It
I mean, the
kept you
art
going.
format changed from like drawing to painting, but I've always built things. Like when I was
Yeah.
little, one of the biggest toys I wanted so bad was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Megazord, that original one. But
Oh yes, made up of
I
all the
just
different
couldn't
animals
get
there.
it. So what I did, and I only did it with two of the Zords, but I took paper and I folded it into thick enough layers,
All
glued
right.
them together, and I started to build the Zords. And I remember the chess piece was this pterodactyl bird, where the wings
Yes.
and the head would fold into the chest, and that would form the chest armor. And I actually built
Yes.
from paper. The wings would fold in, the head would tuck back, and I started to build the saber tooth, but then I stopped for some reason. I think like I have a very attention deficit disorder. Like I hyper focus. So
Oh
like I'll
yes.
work on something really hard, but then when there's a shiny new bauble over to the left, I'm like, ooh, now I'm gonna
Moving
focus
on
really
to
hard
that
on
one.
this.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I
And
eventually moved
you
on to
lose
something
interest on
else.
the other job.
Yeah.
Yes, I noticed a fellow there. I don't know who he is, but he made all the Zords out of cardboard there, and they all did their fold up
Yes.
sequences, and you could join them up, and I think you can see him on YouTube or something. But you might have seen that fellow.
There's someone on Instagram that does Gundams, but he makes them these elegant or origami style,
Yes,
and they
a
look
lot of
just
these
amazing.
a lot of these fellows are rather good with what they can do with the old cardboard there, and even making cars and some
Yep,
people making cars out of wood there overseas, and
yep.
all sorts of creative things there.
And with my cardboard dioramas, I just really love that simple, childlike, do-it-yourself look. So
Yeah.
one of the pieces I have here is this little gravestone that I made, and I just built it up in like layers. Try to
Oh yes.
get it to focus there. And from the back, it looks rather messy, but like it's just built up layers, and it looks, almost like something you'd see in like a pop up book or something.
Or like yours Donkey Kong games.
Yeah, yeah. But this, I kind of based this off. This is supposed to be Hero's grave because in the
Oh, hero
um,
there. Yes.
yeah, the classics Grayskull poster that came with it, where you'd see like underneath the Grayskull and the surrounding areas, there was a
Oh yes.
tomb that was for Hero, and it led down into this like actual like tomb. And on one of the doors, it had this kind of skull like design. So I used that to make kind of the face for the tombstone here.
And do you have plans to I don't know, put coverings over them, a bit of mache there
Yes.
to
Once my focus redirects back to doing
yes, there's a
diorama
lot of
stuff,
cheap.
I do plan to fill in the spaces, smooth it out. I might use a little kind of not paper mache, but like and not putty, but
Well, you
kind
could
of like
use your epoxy sculpt around the edges, I suppose,
yeah,
and push it
that,
that in.
but making it like muddy. so I could just like rub it in and then wait for it to dry.
Or sometimes just thin pieces of cardboard, like on your muesli bar boxes there, and just
Yeah.
cap off the edges and things like that.
Oh yeah, like the standard cardback cardboard I could use.
But indeed, these little pieces that you create little terrain, walls and gravestones, and you got a little pulpit there.
Yep, I got a little book stand
Can
here.
indeed add a bit of extra dimension and feel to your action figure displays there.
To have this book I got from one of my like NECA figures, and it's when I eventually
get one of those for my He-Man Toys of He-Man Master Universe book. It's rather heavy on me.
I believe this is from the NECA Goliath figure for gargoyles, and then this one.
I know the classics Eldor came with a big book there, but the one I got is missing that.
And then I believe this is from Demona from that same series.
Oh yes. Yes, and my custom Eldor of myself, I found a book that came with the Ori Prior figure from the Stargate SG-1 series there.
Oh,
so
cool.
I just borrowed the book off him. And so you've been the collection has grown there.
Yes.
Origins has come out, and
I think I recently posted a picture.
Custom work on this Panther here.
Sorry, what?
Did you do a bit of custom painting on this? Is it Panther or what did they start out as?
Which one?
Oh, I didn't see the screen.
Sorry, all I see is my screen or my camera. That's all good.
Let's get that fixed up there. I was wandering back onto your IG there. You're getting confused what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. The Battle Panther. That was originally.
That started out as.
That started out as a standard Battle Cat.
Oh yes.
So I think there's probably some prior pictures. I don't know if I shared them or not, but he was originally a lot darker purple. And once I put the armor on, that I painted in a midnight metallic blue, because on the art of the card back of Skeletor, a lot of people painted it black, but when they shaded it, it was like a really dark blue. So I chose to paint it fully dark blue. And when I put the armor on, you couldn't tell the purple from the like dark blue. It looked almost like the same color.
Oh.
So I mixed up a lighter purple and I kind of shaded it on top. And it kind of gave it like almost like a dry brush look.
That transforming He-Man figure.
Yep. And that purple turned out so much better.
So yes, my custom duplicate, it started out as a Panther, so not the Battle Cat there.
I was hoping to find a flocked Panther and just use a black Sharpie and draw in the like stripes, but I'm happier the way this one turned out.
Oh, yes.
And then I decided because of the white streaks in Skeletor's hair, at least in the comics, that I painted onto the figure, I decided for helmetless Battle Panther, I wanted to paint in those white streaks in his fur. They came out a little thick, but then I dry brushed a little white in his beard, and that turned out good.
Like they say, when you stand further back from these things,
yeah,
you don't get up there. And yes, so here's some of your displays there, I think.
Yep, that's my current setup.
Set up there with Castle Grayskull.
Yes, I have a little puck light behind each of my clear stands, and then I have a puck light on the floor in between Skeletor and He-Man, and it lights up the side of the castle, so it looks really nice.
Yes, I love all that extra color you can
Yeah.
get your displays there. Gives you that feeling of that world there. Did you find
I
a
have
place for Castle Snake Mountain there? I see.
Yeah, I wanted to have it unfolded, but with on the other shelf, I have all of my Spawn figures, so it didn't
So it's
really
a bit hard to find
work.
the space for. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but at
it
least I
is nice
have
to see them all
have it
folded
folded
out.
up. And then the
Oh,
only vintage figure I have is that Buzz Off. So I decided to display
right.
him by having him chained up.
So you've got mostly origins, I think.
Yes, that Buzz Off was a gift from someone, so I decided to properly show him off.
Yes, I've been collecting a bit of everything myself. There, I've got a nice little collection of vintage figures myself.
And with this shelf, I've just been lazy, but I'm going to put another puck light behind it because on the bottom shelf where I have all my pretty much villains, I have them kind of split up between Skeletor's forces and the Horde, and the other side is pretty much Snake Men. So Skeletor's forces have purple light, Snake Men have blue light, or sorry, a green light because that's kind of the color.
Okay.
So on the top shelf, on the left side, I mostly have He-Man and his allies, and eventually, once I get the last three figures, the other side will pretty much be Rulers of the Sun. So the yellow will be on the Rulers of the Sun, and I'll probably put a blue because blue and gold will kind of complement.
Yes, if you can find the right sort of lighting that complements the colours of your figures.
Ideally, I
For
would
us, I
do
suppose.
red and blue, but I only have two puck lights left. They take triple D batteries, so I try not to use them too much.
Yes, you'd have to keep buying new batteries there. And
Yeah, the strip lights I have, I always keep them on unless I'm sleeping. But the puck lights, I'll turn them on for like an hour or two, or unless I'm taking photos.
I suppose it's easy if you had the wall plug PowerPoint
Yeah,
lights
those
there, but
ones are.
you'll be amazed also at your power bills.
Yeah, those ones are rather expensive. I've seen like a pack of four lights that are the color changing, and they're like 40 bucks. Whereas the puck light ones, I think I got six of them for like 23.
Oh yes.
But I just
Here we
make
have
sure
a question
like,
from
oh,
Here we have a question from Mr. Hoojideen. I'm working on a Castle Grayskull throne and using the styrofoam. My plan was to cover it with milliput. Do you think that would work? We touched a little bit on that before.
yes, but there's also, let me see if I can easily get to it.
Good
There
luck getting it
is,
down there. Right. Where
oh,
are we?
actually, it's right here. I always keep it in my little box of tools here.
Oh, yes, your toolbox there. And there we are there.
Make sure you wear gloves. You don't want
Oh,
this stuff
yes.
touching your skin. But this is a kind of softer putty, and it squeezes out similar to like toothpaste. And then use a smoothing tool to
Sometimes
smooth it
water
out.
there helps a bit.
Yep. You can also have a little bowl of like water and use your gloved hand, dip your finger in, and then like smooth it out.
Because
But I have
it does stick quite badly once it's all mixed together. Do you have to mix? Is the tube stuff pre-mixed, or do you have to squeeze
yes,
two equal parts out?
nope, it comes pre-mixed.
Oh, that's handy. Because usually when the one stuff that I use is a mixture, you have to mix two equal parts there, and one part, of course, is the hardener, which
But
causes
there's
the chain
definitely
reaction there to getting it
a
set
caution
apart.
here. Don't have near an
Yeah.
open flame. Avoid skin and eye contact. A well ventilated area because the stuff smells.
Oh yes, indeed.
But it
Oh,
does
the
work
safety.
really nice.
And also too, if you have a hugely detailed project, you can work on bits at a time and then sculpt more putty onto what you've already done.
Yep. All right, I
Okay,
think
so
that's dry now.
before we close off, what other customs do you have in the background there, sir?
Oh, okay. So this is actually not one of my first, but one of the first ones I was really proud of. So this is, of course, Cronus from the Rise of Evil 2 pack. And as everyone notices, that face is ugly. I don't know why they literally didn't just use the classic sculpt.
And of course, they gave Caldor the skeletal head, and they didn't give you
Yeah.
didn't give you a trapdoor head.
So what I did was I took one of the blister cards, the plastic clamshell bubble, and I cut out this visor, and I glued it. I wrapped it around the helmet here to make sure it fit. Then I used super glue to glue it down. But hold on a second, dry throat.
Oh, all good there. Clear your throat.
Wow, that was random. Anyways, you could see some of the super glue kind of residue from where it was glued to the. The name of the putty is Tamiya Putty.
Tamiya, whichever you pronounce it.
Yeah.
There's also a putty called, which I use quite a bit, Milliput.
Yep.
So that's another one you have to mix together.
I actually have some of that too. Yeah, I have 2 boxes. My one box is kind of opened, and yeah, I can kind of tell that it's starting to dry out. So I gotta find a use for it.
There are different consistencies between Milliput and the Tamiya epoxy sculpt. The Tamiya finds a bit more softer drying, whereas the Milliput usually sets a bit hard. But you can indeed get different grades of Milliput. You can get the black color stuff, or white or turquoise or terracotta, depending on, because you can also use it to repair things like cracks and so forth, aside from sculpting. And you can also use the turquoise color in wood turning. If you're making bowls with colorful designs, you work all your epoxy sculpt into the different grooves, and then you turn out your wood piece, and you end up with a nice smooth design there, worked into the woodwork.
Oh, very nice. Might as well pull out him too.
How did you color the visor there, sir? Did you use that?
So before I cut, well, I think I did it after, yeah. But so what I should have literally done was taken Mountain Dew soda bottle and cut that, because that would have already been green. But I literally took a green Sharpie and colored over the visor, and it worked perfect. It added a little bit more green.
You use the window tint, car window tint vinyls. You can get various colors.
But there is still glue residue. You can see a little bit there. But when I build...
Really? I have bad eyesight, sir, so it looks good to me.
Yeah, you really don't see it unless it's really up close. It's right there at the top.
Yes, glue's always
just a little bit.
Yeah. You can easily get over where you don't want it to go, you see.
So I have these thin plastic strips that I use for model building, and I just cut off a piece and glued it around the visor. So that's just a strip of a plastic.
Oh, do you get those strips in those little baggies of different shaped bits of plastic there?
Yep, that's you probably don't have it down there, but up here we have what's called.
We get those. They're usually for the model makers there. Using.
Do you guys get the
weld the plastic together?
I'm trying to think of the brand name. Evergreen.
Not sure. I think it's a Tamiya brand.
Okay, yeah. Package. Tamiya also sells them too. But yeah, so I just wanted to add a little more color to him. Obviously, I painted up his blaster there a bit. Added some silver and blue, little blue stripes up in there. And then Added some color to his belt. I don't like the belts when they're all one color. So obviously for the new Lady Slither, I will be painting up this. And a pro tip for when you're painting, so this has a very shiny gloss feel to it. So take a very fine grit sandpaper. You can find like sandpaper Tamiya sponges, which is what I use. I have them cut up into little squares, and I'm going to lightly sand around everywhere where I'm going to paint. Because if you try painting on this glossy plastic, you're going to need to do multiple layers.
The paint's had no tooth to hold on there.
So sanding off that gloss, or that, to make it a little more rough, the paint will adhere a lot better. I've learned that throughout multiple figures I've painted. But yeah, I just painted up his belt a bit, and I added a little color to his boots. Again, these colors here are, I believe, on the classics. Just added a little blue onto his...
toy companies, especially on the handles of the weapons there. I had one on the Masterversal Two Bad. The paint was coming off one of his weapons. But of course, they don't have the time to do all the sanding there, you see, so they just paint them straight away.
I believe the color on this arm, besides the green, is also classics colors. And the green here, sadly, it doesn't work as well as I wanted. This is actually glow in the dark paint.
Oh, right.
And I also added glow in the dark paint on the eyes, on his belt, and then on these, I think they're vents. I don't know what they are, but they seem like vents. So I decided to paint them, and then I did the boots in the same style.
So I imagine you need a bit of airflow down there.
Yeah, right. And then the biggest thing with this figure, eyebrows. He needed eyebrows.
They missed his eyebrows there.
So I took a panel line marker.
You got too close to the fire at one point.
Yeah, I just took a panel line marker and drew them in. And then I believe there's also glow-in-the-dark paint here on this arm detail, and the same on his arm here. And then I painted this in a dark blue, just to, just get a little extra color going on.
So I managed to get on track there off Adam at Medical Toys, so funny good to have him in the collection there.
As we know, Origins are very limited paint because, they want that, vintage feel. And I love it. But, I want that extra color. I want that extra paint. And maybe this is a little conceited of me, but whenever I see pictures, especially of this Skeletor here, when someone posts theirs that's unpainted, I look at it and it feels kind of wrong, but I'm like, what is wrong with it? Why does it look so bland? And it's like, oh yeah, I painted mine.
Affordable too. I understand that the more paint they add, the more,
Yeah, it would cost a lot. They'd be like classified price or Hasbro price. But you can see what I was talking about with that dry brushing the silver on the belt.
Oh, I like the accenting you got in there.
Yeah.
Detail.
It was difficult just to paint it normally. So what I did was I loaded my paintbrush up fully, and I held it to the side and just kind of rubbed it on. And it clinged to all of the raised surfaces.
Yes, so if you hold the brush a certain way, it's only going to collect the surfaces that are raised there, and everything that's deeper down remains unpainted.
Got some black behind the boots. Mm-hmm. Added these kind of white. I used a bone white for all these little spikes.
So yes, you can imagine these fellows paint the figures there for hours on end, painting every single detail, and that's where all the expenses come into it. And they try to limit the amount of paintwork they do.
Then for the sword, I use some. I have a yellow color shift and a green color
yes.
shift, and I painted the handle, so it kind of gave a
They're the
little more
similar
color
colours
to it.
you used on Moti there.
Yep, which I'll bring him down. I have him up on my shelf. But yeah, I just love the way he turned out. Also, last minute, it wasn't in the video I posted, but I painted in his teeth. I did not notice that the teeth were not painted, and I was like, "Oh, those have to be colored."
I see. You can also use that snake armor to do your own custom snake wraith figures, which we saw teased on the Snake Mountain box out there. Oh, there he is. Oh, Moti.
Yep, my very first video.
This from what's his name?
Kenzo.
Kenzo's collections or custom. Yep. So
yep, this was my very first painted figure. Really love the way he turns out. In my eyes, this is the color Moti is and should be. Whenever I see the blue one, again, I look at it, I'm like, that's not Moti. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I painted mine differently.
It was the color of the plastic that he was molded into in the original Eternia playset. It was sort of a bluish base around the towel there.
But I actually, when I did this video, I messed up on this figure really bad. So on my little wet palette, when I wanted to put some glow-in-the-dark paint.
It's like a Bob Ross there, keeping the canvas wet.
I wanted to put some glow-in-the-dark paint on the tips of his eyes, along the spine, I think on the stripe, and some of the like little painted dots. And I also had the paint for the teeth. And the glow-in-the-dark paint is the same color as this bone white when it's not when it's wet. And I had, I accidentally put the bone white on top of the glow in the dark paint because they looked similar. And I mixed it and I started painting the mouth. And I was looking at my palette. I'm like, where's the glow in the dark paint? And then I turned off my lamp, and the entire inside of his mouth and his teeth were glowing. And I was like, uh-oh. So I actually kept it in. I'm gonna say Moti's saliva glows in the dark. So it kind of works out.
I've gone as far as I've had my cup of tea beside me when I've been painting. You know, dip the brush in the cup of tea. I just realised I have to make myself a new cuppa now.
Yep. Sadly, this might be gross to some people, but I pull it out fast enough where it doesn't really affect it. But I'll get a random little tiny fly. If I have a fresh cup of coffee, they are attracted to it so bad. And I'll take a sip, put the cup down, and 30 seconds later I'll look in, and there's a little tiny fly swimming around. And I'm like, I'm not wasting this cup. I'll quickly pluck him out, use a spoon out that spot he was sitting in,
2-second rule.
Wipe it off. Yep. 2-second rule. I don't care.
Well, no, so some people in these countries over there on Earth, they eat all sorts of different things. And, usually, insects are a nice staple of protein there.
There was a beef jerky store that we had went to, and they had a box, a little container of these seasoned fried crickets. I believe it was cheddar flavored. I bought it because I was like, I gotta try this. It honestly, it tasted like a really crispy shrimp that had a cheese flavor. It wasn't gross. It wasn't gooey. But if you were a kid and you saw The Lion King and you saw young Simba trying slugs for the first time, don't tell me you didn't see that part and be like, wow, I bet you that probably tastes good.
Oh, well, survival, you get what you can find.
But yeah, there's plenty of bugs that are edible.
Yes, they
and I would
food festivals over.
I would honestly try all of them.
They have
I'm not shy of that. But as far as future figures here, I haven't fully worked this figure out. I'm going to swap the head back to the original Sunman, but I had the idea of I wanted to build another Sunman villain. So in my headcanon, Sunman has an older brother who was supposed to be in line to rule the
Sibling
land,
rivalry there.
and and the younger brother was chosen to be given powers, and he resented it, so he kind of built himself his own wings. And I had a WWE Rey Mysterio figure, which that's what this head is, and the wings. And so he kind of, this character created his own mechanical version. So I cut the jetpack off, and on all of my Sunman figures, I don't like the wings around the neck. I think that looks weird.
Yes,
so
I think
I used to
attempt to do a sign of the times type of thing there.
Yeah,
what it might
I used to tuck them behind the armor, but I noticed it would kind of stretch out the armor, and this armor is kind of a little jiggly because of that. So I just super glued it to the back, and then I glued the jetpack on top. And my idea is he goes over to Eternia, kidnaps one of the Avian people, and uses the jetpack and some of their tech to create his own suit. So I'm not sure on the name, but it'll be something like Eclipso or Lunar or something like that. I'm going to leave the skin the way it is, but I have a top coat. I believe I used it on my snake armor He-Man here. I don't know if you can see on the legs, the top coat has a glitter effect. So I have a top coat that is color shift, and it's clear. So I'm gonna paint that over all of his skin, so that the skin is still black, but when the light hits it, it'll shine. Some can say similar to a Twilight shimmer effect, but and then the whole color scheme is going to be purple, lilac, and I think silver.
And you got two other customs there. See, you have the Skeletor and is it the Green Goddess there?
Yes. So this is just 2000X Skeletor that I painted up in a similar fashion to my snake armor one. But the belt on this one, I did a black finish on the belt. I still left the gold or the copper buckles.
All right, yes.
And then the sword, this is kind of cool. So this is supposed to split. So I painted the blades, and then I painted one of the handles that he doesn't hold copper with a black handle. And then the other side, I painted it copper.
Yes, he splits them in half in the show there, twirls them about.
So my idea is eventually I'm trying to find another one of these on clearance, because I got this guy for $10, and I'm going to take that other sword, mirror what I did with this sword, so that he can dual wield them.
Well, as we know, that Mattel are removing the Origins line from retail, so you might yet see a lot of these going to sale.
And then I'm going to take the armor from that one, and especially the ankles. I'm going to swap the feet with my Rise of Evil Keldor, and I'm going to make a true 2000X Keldor with the 2000X armor. Because the armor he has right now is just Skeletor armor. And
did you add the soft goods cape to him?
Yes. That cape is actually from my Masterverse Wave 1 Skeletor. because on the actual Skeletor, which I actually moved the cape to a different figure right now. I gotta make a second cape. I believe the picture's on Instagram, but I made what's going to be a wired cape. So far, I just cut out, the shape of the cape. I wanted over the shoulder cape, one that really flows. So I put that on him, but I currently have it on one of my Spawn figures. I was trying to create Redeemer, which is one of the Spawn villains. Or not Redeemer. Sorry, I took a Dark Redeemer figure, and from the beginning of the Spawn comic, there's a villain, Anti-Redeemer, I think his name is. I forget, but I wanted to make it more like that original design, and he had a purple cloak on.
So is this the photo you're talking about, sir?
Yeah. Or no, sorry. The photo is my Masterverse Skeletor.
Oh yes, of course.
But actually, in the background there, you can see the Mod Podge bottle sitting there on the right. It's just a normal paint bottle. I think I dropped. Yeah, I did. I'll pick it up later. Might be more towards the top. Because it was a more recent. Scroll down. Maybe I didn't post it yet. I might have not. It might have been posted in like a Discord server or something. But if you scroll down a little bit, those photos there. Sorry, go up. The green and purple lit photos. It should be in the middle there. Yeah. So I love doing little photos like this. Eventually, I want to get better like backdrops for it, but I wanted a struggle between Keldor, like the he Skeletor version of Keldor, and the Keldor that eventually becomes Skeletor. So I set up all the versions of Skeletor I have behind the evil Keldor, and he's facing off against Skeletor, and I lit one half green and one half purple to kind of show both sides. And yeah, I just like the way this photo turned out. So I always love doing little stories, like all the photos that aren't just here's this figure. There's a little story in my head that I've made for it. A little backstory.
I've been a bit myself there, sometimes with a bit of a stop motion animation there, and doing all crazy things with the action figures or flying ships around and so forth.
Yep.
But yes, recreating a scene in the photography or stop motion is quite a fun thing. Stop motion is a bit more in depth because you've got to make subtle changes over and over and over, and you're running back and forth to the camera there. I understand there's probably an easier way of doing it, or maybe a program or two or something. But yes,
thankfully I do it all from my desk here. Like I have my camera on a little
Oh yes.
I don't know what you would call this. It's like a boom arm, maybe. But it just hovers over my desk. So right now, as we're talking, I'm actually staring at my phone, and my phone is staring right. Obviously, the camera. You can see my desk. So when I take a photo, I can see. I pull up the photo, and I look at the photo, and then I slightly move each part, and then go back, take a picture, and then I'll flip back and forth between the two pictures and see if the motion is right. And for the intro on all my videos, that was 57 photos, and that honestly took me like 30 minutes.
Yes. Usually, if it's done that way, you have quite a good amount of pictures that you have to animate together. and the way I do it now is I just hit pause on my video camera there. So the new phones you have out now, you can hit pause there, but you have to be quite quick. But
Yeah.
still, it's still not quite as faster revealing on the frames. But you can take your video into a video editing software later on there, and you can cut the sections out in between each pause, and cut all that out and make it a bit faster. But it takes time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do
But
you
that
want
was
to
fun
show?
doing
Do
that.
you want to show off the Green Goddess there before we close up? So?
Oh, yeah. So this one I actually have to remove the paint from her face, because when I got this figure, the paint apps are off a bit. The paint is lower, so you can see her top
the
lip
eyes.
isn't painted, the eyes, the eyebrows. From far away, you can't tell, so like I just don't look at it up close. But this armor, this armor and staff is from my original Tila, that I just swapped the armor with because I had originally painted that figure.
And is that Evelyn's? Is that Evelyn's armor that she wears? Or was it a standard Green Goddess figure?
That was a standard green goddess figure, and I just swapped the armor because on Tila I like the armor, but I feel for Tila you shouldn't really have the hood on, so I just took the head off, bent the armor back, and popped the head back on. So she still has the armor, but you can fully see her hair and all of that. And of course, this one I've painted up a bit where I added the fur on the boots, painted the bootstraps gold, painted a little.
Like Battleground Tila there, she had the white fur tops.
Painted the arm bracers. Under here, you can see I also painted the fur around the neck.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something similar I did with my 2000X Evelyn. Painted that fur, boots, straps, painted her staff, her little rod.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little extra paint that just makes it pop.
It makes them look good. Yeah. Yes, I had a similar paint issue with my first ever sorceress. She looks like she had the traveling sucker punch there. Her eyes were printed off to one side, and the lips were printed off to one side also. So I kept that minty fresh there in the package. It's a bit of a factory error a sample, you might say.
Yeah, and like for me, each figure doesn't need a lot of paint or full repaint. Just, well, I mean, honestly, to what I prefer, but like I don't treat each figure as like a full repaint.
Do you find it easy to come up with your plans and what colors you're going to use, or do you give it some
yes.
independent thought there?
When I first see a pre-order for a figure, I look at it. Obviously, I'm excited for the figures coming out, but immediately I look at it like, okay, what can I do to make this pop?
Oh, yes.
So for King Randor 2000X, just painted the belt because this red was not on the original figure. So just adding in that little bit of red. I still want to paint the gem on his forehead, but just that little bit of red just makes him mostly complete. I really wish he came with his sword that has this design for the crossguard and his spinning shield. The shield that kind of comes out of this, like it does in the show. That would have been cool, but I ain't gonna complain.
Have you done? Do you collect any Masterverse, or do you mostly just
collect? Yes, I do.
Origins. So have you thought about doing any other? Have you thought about doing any other customs aside from the He-Man there?
Yes. So actually, the Mattel Creations, Darklyn or Godlin, whatever you want to call her, where she calls down the power. So I had gotten a second one from our amazing
Toy
people
Frenzy, was it?
over in the from the Toy Frenzy random acts of a kindness.
Oh,
Shout out,
yes.
definitely join the Patreon.
Hmm.
There's lots of amazing people over there. My birthday had come up, and they sent me the Darklin and the Vicor figure. And since I already had
Oh, yeah.
Darklin, I'm like, well, what am I going to do with this? And I was looking at my transforming He-Man, and I was like, I have an idea. I'm going to do a transforming Darklin, but there's going to be a twist where He-Man, when Prince Adam transforms, it kind of has that Sailor Moon look. Well, that amazing cape that comes with Darklin, the inside of the cape where it has that kind of galaxy void kind of effect. I'm going to do
Oh,
that
yes.
to her. I'm going to do that to her entire body, like all of her skin that's showing. So I'm going to paint all the skin black. Then I'm going to draw in, so like the center of her chest where that H is, around it, I'm going to paint a black hole. And basically, I'm going to draw a design where like stars, nebulas, and everything is going to be swirling in to her center mass. So I'll paint in little stars, and I'm actually going to use glow in the
Oh,
dark
yeah.
paint to paint in those stars. And so it'll be like a swirling vortex that the center is just a black mass, because that's just that feel of Darklyn in the show where she's like, what's the point of
Was
everything?
Darklin
That
much
the
taller than
universe
your
is
other?
empty. Yeah.
Was your Darklin
So,
much taller than all your other female Masterverse figures? Probably not
yep.
as big as Motherboard, but
No, that's one I still
yeah.
have to get at some point.
I believe she's still on sale too. I had
Oh
a fellow
yes,
collector was kind enough to get me one of those.
she's got a higher price, so I just have to wait.
Yeah, with
Right
all the
now,
soft wood
like
wires.
I've noticed with Masterverse, 98% of the time they don't sell out right away. So there's not a FOMO. Whereas Origins, there's more of a FOMO
Yes, they
with
seem to do a bit better.
figures.
Except
So,
the 40th He-Man 4-pack.
right? So right now I'm just more focused on finishing out Origins, and since they've kind of hinted that, eventually all those vintage figures are going to come to an end and then they're going to move on to the
Big
cartoon
sale.
ones, I'm not as enticed for the cartoon figures. Maybe I might cherry pick, but I think for the most part I'll stop when the vintage figures are finally done. And then I'll refocus on Masterverse, kind of catch up.
Yes,
But
it
I
sounds like
do,
Masterverse will still remain at retail, so that's
yeah, I do have pretty much waves 1 through 6, I think. I think
that's
my
what.
last, yeah, I think my last one, like normal figure, was the deluxe Duncan Man at Arms. So everything up to that point, because I have
So
them.
speaking of Origins,
See if I can.
Mr. Hootydine, what Origins figure are you looking forward to in the future being released?
Um, honestly, Cy- Cyclone.
Yes.
I think I'm most excited for that one. Rock On and Stone Dar are cool, um, gimmicky, and I would definitely want them. But I think, as far as the ones we know that are coming out, or vintage ones, Cyclone, Drag, Dragstore. I definitely want him.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really curious if they'll have the wheel working on his chest.
Yes, I believe it might have done a sparky effect or something.
Yeah, I don't think the spark effect, but at least the wheel to move.
Hmm.
And then obviously, if hopefully they can do the movie figures that they did at least to get Blade, Gwildor, Sarad.
I believe we're getting it might be a bit of a Gwildor and a revolution there because the one we're getting looks a
Yes,
bit cartoony. So he's coming with Orko in the white there, and the BBTS exclusive 2-pack set.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I cannot wait for those. Um, as far as figures, I hope that will come out. I really want them to do. I know people are kind of starting to get sick of the Snake Men, but I would love to see um, Lord Grasp.
Yes.
Try to get the other one.
We still got Viper
Terror.
and Telex and what's his name? Pythonus, the High Priest Pythonus.
But they could really do the 3-pack of Lord Grasp, Terrock or Terror, and Lord Plasma. I think his name is
Oh
Lord
yes, yes.
Plasma.
It was a bit of a 3-pack back in the classics, so run.
Yeah, like that'd be cool.
Because good evening, sir.
Hey, what's up?
So
because that would really.
He was a bit disappointed with the face sculpt. I think most of us were.
Yeah. Because if they did.
Rum and toy, the ace. Fix it up there.
Right. If they did that Lord Plasma character, that could also open up a few other possible deep cut figures. Because a lot of those parts, I think some of those parts are used in what was that red dragon guy? Draco.
Possibly.
There's like a red dragon and like he's like human looking.
Like Guinevere, was it? Are you talking about?
It's got like purple armor. But anyways, like they already have his sword because they used it in the WWE Motu one of those figures. I'm trying to think of his name now. Steamboat Dragon Steamboat.
Wow, no.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, I think. But anyways, his sword is a flaming sword, and it's that exact same one.
Ooh.
But yeah,
possible.
And obviously Strobos. That'd be cool.
Oh yes, a bit of a retool of Zodak there.
A 2000X Zodak.
They would use Cyclone's chest piece.
2000X Zodak. That'd be nice.
Because we've only got a few 2000X there in the Origins line so far.
Because, like, I mean, obviously I could probably just buy another Masterverse Zodak, put the armor on, get like a Sunman, or get like a probably not Sunman, but get a Clamp Champ, and just swap around, paint the face on, paint the mouth area on Zodak, paint in the tats. Done and done. But it would still be cool for the character to come out in like card back form, get the art and the comic.
Where do you think the Attorney's Choice might go there when they announce what's going to happen there? And what were your choices, so?
I kind of wish I chose something else rather than what I did now that I've seen a bunch of live streams, but I went with the typical choice of, well, if I want to see any of them, and I was also kind of thinking of, maybe like, eventually the vintage line is going to end. So I picked the two vintage style items. I picked the Snake Layer and the Fright Zone.
Oh,
but now I kind of wish I would have picked. I probably would have kept the Snake Layer, but I probably would have picked the Attack Track.
Oh, yeah, so that was one of my choices there too. But we've already seen a few deep cuts out in Origins there, like Koldar and Wandar also.
Now, if they're going to be focusing on the cartoon figures,
oh yes, there'll be a few more.
They could re-release Koldar, but in that new Buck style. And that would kind of give people a second chance.
To make the body forms look more Filmation-esque than what the Origins line was just basically representing the vintage figures that came out in the 80s.
I get what they're doing with the cartoon and I actually like it, but because I'm so used to the vintage, they look like they wouldn't fit well with the vintage ones. Because if you hold like an actual vintage next to a Origins, they look brighter, they're more colorful, they're more vibrant.
Yes.
It's almost like for the cartoon ones, they took the saturation and turned it up to 11. So now they'll be the Origins to the vintage. But on the plus side, because of the slimmer bucks for the chest, it might entice them more. And because they're focusing on cartoon, and it says cartoon on the box, obviously because of copyright, they can't really say filmation. But I think cartoon, the name was also chosen to be to be just beyond the original show. I'm really hoping they go into new adventures in that style. Because since all those figures were so much slimmer, they would fit that slimmer style better than if
originally Origins was just supposed to touch on the 80s figures, but then somewhere along the lines they decided to include 2000X there. And of course, we had a special look at the New Adventures He-Man in the 40th 4-pack.
Yeah.
And then eventually got King Randor and Snake Teeler and what have you.
So that and those slimmer bucks, I think would work perfectly. But if there were any deep cuts of cartoon show, I would love to see. I can't think of his name. He was a villain that eventually turned into a cosmic enforcer. Zodak came and granted him cosmic.
Zodak's a neutral party.
Yeah, he was like a bearded wizard, and he was like a spirit trapped in some device, and he was doing harm to Eternia. And by the end, he saw the error in his ways, and then Zodak saw that, and he turned him into a cosmic enforcer. A 2-pack of those would be perfect.
And then you have all the cat people there, and get home. Although it's quite easy to make it home.
Could finally eventually get Queen Marlena.
Oh, yes, and Captain Glenn in her Captain Glenn form there.
Maybe I know on one of the card backs, I think for maybe it was the Snake Armor Mandate Arms, but there was a tease of a 2000X Queen Marlena on the back of the card.
Oh yes,
I think it was on one of the card arts, but she appeared on it.
Sometimes
right.
They teased one character multiple times there, so it's hard to keep on top of who's been appearing on whose card arts there.
Right, we still need Too Bad. Yeah, finally got announced. Extendar, I believe, correct?
They're keeping one of his play features there. I believe the rest of them are just switch out extensions like you get with the likes of Retlaw and what have you. But I think they're keeping it might be in the torso region. They're keeping the extension there, but all the rest you have to plug an extra extension part in there. I wonder if they might be able to use the extension parts between each other, like give them a longer neck or something.
Right. That's what I was hoping for with Mechaneck. But I see for the Masterverse version, they actually went that extra step.
So
where they give them
the old movie's been in the forefront of most people's minds, as we know they've done a bit of a quits on that, possibly due to the strikes going on there. It's
Honestly,
supporting
I'm glad
writers.
it's not going to be on Netflix.
Oh yes, a lot of people have two feelings on the old Netflix recreations. Although I don't mind the new One Piece series. I enjoyed that one.
That one was good,
But
yeah.
most of them are hard to adapt to
That
that live action
that show
setting.
that show is literally a diamond in the rough.
Yes.
Because every other one that's come before it, oof.
Oh yes, what was that other one? The two fellows going around that spaceship there. The bounty hunters.
Cowboy Bebop.
That's the one. The old cowboys there.
Yeah. And let's not forget the Netflix Death Note series.
Oh no, I never saw that one. I knew
Don't.
they'd made it there.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh, so you got a bit of a Mr. Houdini. Got a bit of a. Did you get a bit of a kit set there? Like that other fellow that has a Queen Marlena. You have to buy a few other pieces, like a sorceress, to get some of the parts off her. But yes, we're waiting for Queen Marlena there. King Randall's on his own.
Yeah.
I see they're doing a reproduction of him out there soon, so I've pre-ordered him on the big good toy store there, the big bad toy store rather.
Same.
I'm still waiting on my pre-order from a fellow in the older Aussie land there, the old down under, you might say. So that was supposed to be coming out.
Pretty much that whole wave I
November,
don't have.
December last year, but we're still waiting.
Yeah, pretty much the whole wave I'm
They're
missing.
re-releasing Web Store there, Ninja.
Yep.
And,
Those are the two I don't have.
The mini comics Trapjaw, I see.
I've avoided the mini comic figures. I love them. I want them. But I am a team completionist. I got to have a full team or full set. And I do not have a Triclops. And he's expensive.
Oh,
so because I don't have him...
Here's one of my more expensive ones. I paid $180 to get him.
Yeah, because I don't have him, I do not want the others.
Good to see you, Sam.
But yeah, I do have most of the others. I don't have a lot of the ones from the beginning with Lords of Power and the She-Ra, but I have a She-Ra, so I'm not
I only got the Lords of Power Merman there. Well, I got two of him. One's still in the package.
Actually, that's another one I can show off here. I took the Lords of Power single carded, and I just gave them a little more paint.
Oh, yes?
So I painted the little spikes here on the side, going up around his neck, his belt,
a bit of differentiation in there.
gem. I think I also did the black inside of his mouth. And then I didn't do the green stripe, but I painted the little barnacles on his sword. And then the little tassels going around.
That was my favorite of the Mermans. I didn't get the one based on the Stinkor likeness as they did back in the 80s there.
I did have that one. I painted that one up, but that was one of the figures I sent over to Oz along with my spare castle so he could give it to his son.
The only mini comics figure I have is the Naked Stratos, I believe it is. They're calling him now.
Surprisingly, I do not have him.
But indeed, I'm hoping we might get an Orko in the cartoon line. So
yes.
I've missed out twice now on getting the Origins Orko. I did pre-order them at BBTS along with Scareglow and a few of the other figures, but they cancelled those figures on us. Unfortunately, a bit of a mix-up there.
I'm hoping the cartoon Orko is smaller, because most of the Orkos we get are like way too big.
Oh yes, they are. A little on the big side, unless like
honestly, Classics is the only one that's pretty much come close.
Oh, yes.
I mean, there is like the mini Orko, I believe, from like one of the
world's smallest
minifigures.
one. I had that one. Yes, he's a bit too small, I think, now.
And even the one in that like dollar store pack, that one's a bit
Oh, yes, I know the one.
too small.
Yes. And we have Broman in there, another fantastic customizer we'll be getting on the channel soon.
Ah, yes. Nice.
He's been showing off some of his recent customs on Instagram there. This is rather fantastic indeed.
Very nice.
So thank you for coming in the show there. We'll be winding up in a moment. We've got a little bit over time,
okay.
but that's all good.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's not at all. So good to pick your brains there and see what your thoughts are on releases.
Honestly, like I was kind of nervous coming down here only because like I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but this has just been like a conversation with a friend, just kind of sitting back and talking.
Indeed, and when you're talking about the things that are interesting for you and what you like to do and so forth, then that's when that's what sparks the longer conversations there.
Yeah.
So no, yes. Well, if you'd like to call it a day there,
okay.
It's been good having you on, and
it's
indeed
been fun.
Back at your life there, and all your amazing customs and indeed other artwork. And
I have to admit, like I'm very like not open about past and whatnot, but I don't know, it just felt easy talking.
It's not easy. It's not easy for a lot of us. So indeed, but you're giving yourself a bit of character development, you might say.
Yeah.
And is he all done there, whole thing, all painted up?
For right now, I got some other details. I gotta get my green paint out so I can paint the snake on his belt. I'm gonna do the rim of his belt in gold. I'm gonna paint the inside of his mouth. I'm gonna paint that tongue. And probably paint up all these little spikes similar to how I did on Skeletor's boots here.
Oh yes. I believe they're the same parts, aren't they?
Yep. And then of course I'm going to paint up the cross guard on his weapon. I'm not going to paint the handle because the paint will just eventually come off.
Okay, well, yes, we'll call it there, I think. And,
all right. This has been fun.
Get things back and see everybody can see me there. And yes, so it's been a real pleasure having you on there and getting to know you a bit more, Bud. So, and indeed, be looking forward to all your future customs as you share them on the Instagram. And indeed, I popped Buddy's links down in the description there for his YouTube show and his account rather, and also Instagram. And I believe
with my
videos showing how you paint up your customs there.
Yeah, I have a video that's like 90% done, but again, because of my hyper focus, I need to get back on and finish it. It's actually the video for him.
Oh yes.
For my Snake Armor He-Man.
Yes, I found the documentary of how you do your customs there. Those videos do take a while to churn out. I've got 2 in the works at the moment. They're probably a bit more than I can do, but I intend to complete the editing. Those I still got to film a bit more on that.
Yeah, I got it all filmed. I got 90% of it edited. I just got to add in the text and cut down 4 more minutes of footage, and then it's done.
And so, do you have anything coming up there? Anybody's shows are going to be on there?
I'm probably going to be on Oz's stream tomorrow night.
Oh yes, his unboxing videos that he has on the weekend.
My plan was to unbox Lady Slither, but with all the photos I've been seeing of parts missing, I had to crack her open.
Oh well.
So I was very happy that she came with everything.
An unboxer.
Yeah.
Maybe Skeletor or something.
But if I'm not on the live, I'm definitely in the chat.
Oh, indeed. It's you're a common personality in the chat, so it's good to see you in
Yep.
when you are able to. And so yes, give a buddy there a follow in his links. You'll be able to see down the description there. And yes, thank you all in the chat for popping in there and a few questions to ask of our buddy.
Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having me.
It's been good, sir. Yes, and we're good learning about what you like to do and all your artwork there. And yes, so I think we'll call it a night there.
One quick last bit. My next big project will be minor sculpting and a repaint of Snake Mountain.
Oh yes, I have a few ideas to do on my Snake Mountain when I get that set.
Big one is extending how wide the stairs are. I really want them to hold figures.
Oh, so you have them jutting out.
They're a bit too narrow.
Yes, it's hard to stand the figures up unless you're putting the world's smallest ones on there, of course.
And then I'll be building definitely a cardboard table to match the throne for the old bone throne.
Oh yes. I got a viewing table. A fellow 3D printed out for me there, so I've got to clean that up and paint it up and what have you. I've got to glue it together as well.
Yeah. So
I believe you can get those on the old Etsy there. I think a few fellows print those out, and there's another fellow that Mr. Home Arcade got his lava flow up. He's printed a few more of those out, so there he's got a few more for sale. I see there now.
Eventually, that would be a big purchase down the road. Is getting a 3D printer.
I believe a Hebrew. He's designing a new floor table piece. It looks like one of the teeth sculptures out of the harbour in Eternia here. But he's going to 3D print one of those, and he's going to do his own lava flows as well.
Nice. I have one of his pieces.
I know he sells quite a bit of his pieces.
I gave him the idea for the extension to the spirit of Grayskull, so it stands up higher. So his first one he printed off, he offered it to me if I had paid for shipping. So I have that sitting on my castle.
Yes, I hope to get some of his floors soon for Castle Grayskull.
Yeah, right. Once castle goes on clearance again, pick up a second castle to build that third wall.
All
right.
And
then definitely pick up all the stuff.
Well, yes. Well, without further ado, we'll sign off there.
Okay.
Good having you in there, bud, sir. No problem at all. And yes, a good journey, everybody.
Good journey.
Until next time.
Yeah, I'm following.
Later.